What's up, Nikki?
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. How about you?
Good, thanks. I'm excited to talk to you again.
Yeah, I've got my notes here. You called me before. So what did you call about last time?
So we talked in, I believe it was November, about my husband who will yell and curse at me specifically in front of our 4-year-old daughter.
Hmm.
So he had done it again, and so this time, and I told him last time, I said if it happens again, then we're going to be having a 30-day separation. Last week it ended up. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
How did that 30-day separation conversation go? Was he remorseful? Was he sorry? Did that make him more mad?
No, he just didn't really say much at all. Just kind of accepted it, and I don't know if he realized how serious I was about it. Probably because he's done it so many times, and I never, took action on it. But this time, so last week it happened again, and I said, okay, we're taking a separation. It's not okay to do that. And this time was in front of not only my 4-year-old, but also my mom. So not only was that embarrassing, but it was, it really lit that fire under my butt. So
can I just, before we go further, I just want to tell you, what you've done is really hard. And it's going to cost you things. And I want you to know I'm proud of you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
That's real, real hard. And I'm sorry that happened.
Thanks. I'm hoping that by doing this, it's not going to happen to me again, no matter what direction this all goes in. So
yeah, that's dignity. I'm proud of you. Good for you. Okay, so
thank you.
You told him you got to get out. What did he do?
It took him 2 days. It was 2 days in, and I said, when it's been 2 days now. When are you going to be leaving? Because he has a friend that he went to go stay with, and he said, well, why in the world are you so adamant? And then I didn't respond because that was via text message. And then he just left that night. So, so like I said, I don't think he realized how serious I was. So I said, okay, well, when are you getting out of here?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So he didn't explode, nothing like that. Just left.
Okay. So how can I help you today?
So my question, I wrote it down, is I followed your advice from the first call. We're a week and a half into our 30-day separation. What are our steps moving forward, and how can I test his sincerity in his apologies moving forward?
Okay. So I want to do a couple of things here. The first, we're going to talk about you, and then we'll talk about him and reconnecting, okay?
Okay.
How's the last, is it 10 days, week and a half? How's that been for you?
Well, you said something on the last call about where you kind of want to go home and not feel like you're walking on eggshells and be able to breathe for the first time. And my mom did just leave Sunday, so I did have her with me the whole week, but I feel like my house feels pretty peaceful. So I feel pretty good, actually.
Yeah. That's your body exhaling for the first time in years, huh?
Yeah. The hard part of it, of course, is every day my daughter says, what is my dad going to sleep over tonight? When's my dad coming home? And I just kind of have to say, oh, Dad's going to pick you up tomorrow. You guys are going to have a fun time. You're going to go do this, or
okay.
Because we kind of worked that out because he's seeing her frequently. So
okay. Is he safe to be around, you think?
Yeah,
okay.
With her for sure. I feel like honestly the person in his life that he acts like this towards is me.
Jeez, I hate that you're his designated punching bag, or have been, but no more. Good for you. Okay, so I'll walk through like 3 things, okay? The first thing is about you.
Okay.
You have to be very intentional about this time. What your body's going to want to do is exhale. Wouldn't surprise me if you're sleeping more or a little more tired.
Yes.
Okay.
I've napped every day.
There you go. So you've probably got years of stored up. I mean, your body has just been snorting cortisol and adrenaline off the bathroom counter for years, and now it's gone. And you're gonna have what I would call a collapse period, just a kakoosh, right? The temptation when you do that is to do nothing.
Okay.
Okay. And so I want you to rest, take that time, but also you have to have somebody that you're meeting with at least every other day, a friend, a counselor, a group of girlfriends, a parent of a friend of your daughter's, right? And you can get the kids together. I want you to be around other people. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The second
Okay.
thing is I want you to have some sort of movement practice. If you just commit for the next 30 days until this period is over, I'm just going to go for a walk in the afternoons with my daughter. She can be in the stroller. She can walk, stroller walk, whatever. But I'm going to go for a walk, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. I'm going to get outside, even when it's hot, and I'm going to go move my body. Okay?
Okay.
And the last thing is have some sort of nighttime routine.
Okay.
I don't want you to suddenly find yourself Netflixing yourself to midnight and getting up at 6 the next morning to go do this whole thing again. Try to create some
Okay.
sort of routine. You're already doing that?
Yes.
Exactly. So what happens is when somebody leaves, even if they're toxic, even if they're hurting us, they're abusive, whatever, it just creates this, you're a balloon and you just cut the string and you feel free for the first time and it's amazing, but you can end up on the other side of the world. And I don't want you to be 30 days down the road and you're exhausted because you don't sleep anymore and you have been eating garbage because you don't even feel like cooking because it's just this, and you haven't done any exercise, you haven't moved, you and your daughter, you're just watching TV and handing her an iPad, and suddenly you will begin to feel bad at the end of 30 days. Your body will be run down, exhausted, tired, and then Romeo will show up. And you start to take him back, no questions asked, because he's going to re-add structure back into your life, even if that structure is unsafe.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
And you're not the only one, but everything I'm saying, you're going, oh, crap, that's me right now, right? And by the way, you get a week. You get a week of just, I'm going to sleep a little too much. Your body's been running for years. But now I want you to take ownership of the last 3 weeks, and you're not gonna get strong or snap into a Slim Jim. You're not doing that, but you're creating some structure on your own. Give yourself a bedtime.
Yeah.
Turn your phone off. Those kind of things. Okay.
Okay.
Here's the second thing. This is about him. Did y'all come up with a plan of action, or was it just get out? Like, you have to go to counseling. You have to do this. I want to see these things before you come back into this house. Or was it just get out?
It was get out, but we've followed up with some text messages back and forth that he had said. He sent me a message saying, well, what are you doing to better yourself in this time? I'm seeing my therapist.
Whoa. That's tell him he can just take the bulb out of those gaslights, dude. I'm not going to have that. We're not having that. That's nonsense.
This whole thing kind of made me feel a little bit more bold. So I did say all that.
Good.
Yeah. So, because he said, oh, I'm seeing a therapist, I'm seeing this person and reading the Bible, and I've stopped with my sports because he's always looking at sports on his phone.
Okay.
But I see the things that he said, and it's already things that are part of his routine. So for me, it's hard for me to judge his sincerity when it's like, okay, but you do these things on a weekly basis. He already sees a therapist and meets with a mentor and reads his Bible.
Okay.
So, and has his group of guys he sees multiple times a week. So it's kind of hard for me to test that. But so he told me he's doing those things, of course, but I don't know if that kind of answers your question, but.
So he told you what he's doing.
Yes.
And you've been on the receiving end of this situation for so long. The idea that you would even have any thoughts on this matter are just now awakening in you. So I'm going to tell you, I don't care what he says he's telling you he's going to do. What I need you to do is to decide what would make me feel safe in my own home with my husband here.
Okay.
And be very specific. Very, very specific. As specific as you can. For instance, you cannot drink again in this house. What are the triggers? Is it money? Is it sex? Is it kids? Does he get really immature when he watches sports? I don't know what his triggers are, what sets him off, or why he gets so mad at you. But I want you to be specific about in this peaceful season you have, right? When are the things that set him? What are the things that set him off? And when he says, like, well, what are you doing to better yourself? Your response is always, I'm not the one screaming and swearing at you in front of our child. I'm not the one that makes you feel unsafe to be in your own home. I'll do my work, but that's not the conversation here. And
Yeah.
so you, though, it's your responsibility. You asked him to go, and you still want to be married to him. Is that right?
As long as I'm treated better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, answer that question first. Like, sometimes people get this 30-day separation and they exhale and they're like, oh, okay. Now that I'm not in fight or flight anymore, I can breathe, and I realize you've been unsafe for years and years, right? All that will happen, or some sort of revelation. Or you might be like, I really, really miss him, and I really want to work on this thing. But you don't want to be led by feelings, and so be very specific about what you need in your home to feel safe again. Okay. And so go see a therapist all day long. Great. Knock your lights out. You're already seeing a therapist.
Yeah.
I need a note from your counselor, or I need to come on the last week, and I'm going to join you in your therapy, and we're going to talk. Just so you know, Nikki, Counseling 101, one of the first things they teach us in class, the first thing I used to teach my grad students is your clients will lie to you. So you don't know what story he's given to his counselor, that his crazy wife kicked him out because she's got her mom was here, and she did this and this, right? His therapist may have no idea.
That's actually what's just funny about that. We used to see him together, where we'd see him together one week, the next week was with him, and then the next week was just myself, and then it kind of repeated that cycle over and over. But I stopped seeing the therapist probably a year ago after another fight we had gotten into, and he just continued to see him on his own. So I'm sure that's accurate. Yeah.
Well, here's the deal. Let's say he was going to a knee rehab specialist.
Okay.
And he's been going for 2 years. And his knee keeps failing him. He would have stopped going a long, long time ago. Because the specialist is not helping. And so it's fair for you to say, the counselor you've been seeing for all of these years is clearly not working.
Yes.
And so you just going back to the same workout routine is not okay.
Yeah.
Or we are going to go see a new person starting next week, and we're going to be together 1 hour a week during this separation, and I'm going to pick the person. Okay? And that's going to be your work to do. But I want you to think for the first time probably ever in terms of what do I want and what do I need to feel safe in my own home? And then be very specific, probably an email, call him. And I would tell you guys this, I tell everybody this. These texting exchange things are not good. They're not good.
Yeah, I agree.
So I would tell them, hey, for the next 3 weeks, we're not going to text like this. We'll call once a night, or we'll call every other night, or whatever parameters you set up. And I'll shoot you an email. But here's my expectations before you move back in. Whatever they happen to be. Okay? Him just going away for 30 days doesn't do anything. It calms the smoke down from the immediate thing, but he's already back to being his old self.
Yeah. Well, and that's the hard thing too, is how, you're saying, this is a little bit more of a deep dive into what's going on, but how you're saying like there's certain things that he needs to do so I feel safe in the home. It's not as much of a tangible thing, like you can't drink anymore, anything like that. It's his insecurity. Like if anything in life goes, he perceives it to be ahead of him, then that's kind of what makes him snap, So it's like I know it's nothing that I could do, but how can I navigate that? If it's something having to deal with his insecurities.
I mean, that's putting you in a diagnostic role, and I would stay out of that for the time being.
Okay.
Because that's a root issue. Let that be between him and his therapist, okay? For you, stay at the behavior. You cannot talk to me this way in this house. If you clench your fist and bang on a counter, you cannot do that. If you get enraged because I served my plate before yours, or if the dishes aren't done just the right way, or my underwear isn't folded the right way, you cannot do that. Because here's the deal. You have a toddler in your house, not just your 4-year-old. You have an adult toddler, but that's like handing a toddler a shotgun. He's a toddler, but he has humongous muscles, right? He's big, and he can cause significant lasting damage with his anger and his rage and his childishness, his immaturity.
Oh, yeah.
Here's the third thing y'all got to work on, okay? You've got to be
Okay.
very specific about reentry. Here's my recommendation to everybody. Have a date and a time and a restaurant on the calendar. It's not a guarantee that he comes back in day 30. It's kind of like you buy a house, and then you go, the inspector comes back, and then you negotiate, like, I want you to fix these 5 things or whatever. You go walk through that house before closing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So before I take ownership of this house and write you a check, I'm going to go make sure you did all the stuff that we agreed on. And so put in writing, so it's on everybody's calendar. You don't want him just rolling back in the house on some random Tuesday, which, by the way, he's an owner of the house. He can. So I always keep that in mind. He can roll back in that house and say, I'm not leaving anymore. And then you're going to have a decision to make. But right now, he's being a good sport about it. He's following the direction you put on the table. I would say Pancake Pantry, 9:00 in the morning on this date. This is when we're meeting, period. And if he doesn't show up, you're not going to have to deal with that. If he does show up, we're going to have a conversation about what moving back in looks like.
Yeah, he did actually try to ask a couple days ago, well, do you want me to come, or can I go stay over so I could see Scarlett in the morning? And I said, no, you can come, this time. And I said, we'll have a conversation next week on Tuesday. I think I said while she was at school, so I can get a restaurant. And I will. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, I've heard these things. All this is going to be about your comfort level. Sometimes people do these 30-day things and they go to couples counseling once a week or twice a week. Sometimes people do these 30-day things and they meet for a meal once a week. No kids, no nothing, just to talk through it together. Like when all the anger and the rage is out of context. There's still anger and rage at the dinner table, but it's in a public place. People are going to act a little more civilized. You can have a little more of a deeper conversation that's not emotionally tied to a location, right, to your home. Or sometimes people like, I can't look at you. I'm not going to text you. We just need a clean break for 30 days, and then we'll circle back. Whatever you feel comfortable with.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that about the restaurant for sure.
And if he is like a soul vacuum, he just like takes your soul from you, and he'll just worm and leech and blob his way back into the house right on the couch with another beer, yelling at you again. Then maybe you need to be a little more aggressive with the boundary. And if he's really working hard, he doesn't want to yell and scream, he always gets embarrassed and ashamed, he just doesn't know what to do, then maybe I feel safe enough to have dinner with him once a week during the separation time. That'll depend on how y'all negotiate that. All right, you have one more question? Go for it.
Yeah. Now, with that too, this was the texting thing. I feel like, in a nutshell, he used to be very, very, very addicted to weed. And he has been sober for a little over 3 years. So the way I like to explain it is I feel like we've never learned how to communicate effectively, no matter through therapists or, whatever. So we have been texting. Unfortunately, that's not my first choice. But he did send me a message a few days ago that he's never expressed in this way before. He did say, I am very sorry for how I have verbally abused you. And I need to change that. And so he says those things, but how can I actually test his sincerity going forward?
So I want you to get rid of the word test.
Okay.
Okay. That creates a power dynamic that a guy who's been hiding from his own life through insecurity, he will feel that a mile away. And it's a very tough hill to climb.
Okay.
So we're not going to test. We are going to build something new together. And it's a new marriage where we don't yell at each other and we don't scream. And we support each other. And yes, we get frustrated. Yes, we get pissed off. Yes, we get angry. We're people, but we're going to handle these things like adults, and we're going to practice that.
Okay.
And I'm not going to test you, but if you scream and yell again, you're opting out of my house, period.
Okay. So it's just as simple as then if it happens again.
Right. So we're going to put things on the table. Once you get in the testing thing, then he's trying to please mommy, or he's trying to please his teacher. And you can't build a relationship that way. Now, for you to regain trust in him, if he'd been cheating on you, it would be fair to say every evening, I want to see your text messages. Cool. Here's the code to my phone, right? Here's everything. I want you to get off all of social media. Done. My marriage is way more important than likes and thumbs up and thumbs down. This is a little different, right? So I wouldn't call that testing. I would just call that reestablishing trust. But testing
that's exactly.
I don't want you trying to poke at him and see if he snaps. and be like, I told you. Let's just get testing out of our head. We're trying to build something new. Part of building something new is you may jump on the foundation to make sure it's firm. That's cool. But I'm not gonna. It's not me versus you.
Mm.
Okay. Does that make sense?
Okay.
That's an important mental shift there.
Yeah, I think trusting's a better word, because that's exactly how I feel. It's like, how do I trust him enough to know that it's not going to happen again? Like, how can I have him move back in and not feel like I'm walking on eggshells?
That's when he sits down at dinner next week and he says, hey, I got your email. I've taken off work tomorrow evening so you and I can go to that marriage counselor that you picked. I'm not going to go back to my guy. You're right. Clearly, it's not helping me change my behavior at all. I've started journaling, and maybe y'all start journaling together. You can do an online one, or y'all can share one. Whatever that means for y'all. I think a journaling practice for both of you would be really, really useful right now, because he doesn't have the skills to talk, and that's okay. A lot of men don't have the skills to talk. A lot of women don't have the skills to talk, but he didn't have those skills. But let's write them down. Let's write them down, or let's do voice memos to each other. Right? We can do long voice memos to each other and hit send, and then you can listen to it and feel it, get angry, get sad, get heartbroken, get happy, whatever, and then you can respond. But the trust is going to come when you sit down for dinner next week or in a month when you'll have breakfast or whatever, and he says, I've done this, and I've done this, and I've done this, and I've had no more outbursts. I've been journaling. Here's my journal stuff. We've been to counseling twice now. We're going to go a third time. I will never yell and scream at you again. All right. Anything re-entry is going to be a risk for you. It's going to be a risk for him, right? But it's not going to be a pass-fail. It's going to be I've got to see something different. Thank you so much for the call. I can't tell you how proud of you I am, and I want you to brace for it. These usually get worse before they get better. Okay, his healing is going to not be a linear path with this is awesome. It's going to be hard. It's very, very hard to grow where he's trying to grow, and it's very hard for you to be a single mom, which is what you've opted into for at least 30 days. It's hard. It's hard. And I'm proud of you. Super proud of you. You having peace, that home having peace, your daughter having peace may give him a chance to heal. And then you guys got a new marriage. I'm proud of you. Call any time.